Hey everyone, Britt and Chris Carmichael here, bringing you the Elevated Life series where we teach you simple mindset shifts to create radical transformation. And here's why. Because fears happen in the mind, so we have to begin to train the mind in a way that eliminates these imaginary things. And there's a difference between danger and fear, and we're going to talk about how you can bust through one specific one that might be holding you back in business or in relationship or just in life in general, taking the next step, and that is the fear of failure. We're going to share with you what that will boil down to, what that really means. It's not the failure that you're afraid of, and we're also going to talk about how you can move past them and why we think you're not failing enough in life.
Yeah, boom. So really, like she was saying, all fears come down to the same fear. Now, we're not talking about phobias, we're not talking about, fear of falling or things like that, but all emotional based fears, like fear of failure, like fear of success, which are kind of the same, boil down to one really critical fear, and that is the fear of being unlovable. Because if you go and try something out and it doesn't happen, then you're going to have to deal with other people's criticisms. And more often than not, what we really have to deal with is our own internal criticisms. And the problem is that success isn't built on successes. Success is built on failures. The ground of failure is what you put your success on top of.
Yeah, you fail your way to success.
Yeah, it's just the way that it happens.
Yeah, you don't just open the door one day and then it's perfection. You have to learn, and that's what failure is. So I like to reframe the word failure just in my vocabulary, not meaning that you can't achieve your goals or your dreams, but that the method you're using was the wrong one, and you can mark that off the list and try again. I know that was Thomas Edison's philosophy on failure. Yeah,
so often what we do is we try something and that something doesn't work. And it shouldn't. We're brand new at experiencing it. We're just kind of, taking a shotgun and just blasting with our eyes closed, and we haven't honed in on exactly what we need to do to get it right. And that's where the learning process comes in. And so if you fail the first time and then you say to yourself, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I'm a bad dancer. I can't lose weight. It's hard for me. It's not about you. It's not about you're the failure. It's about what you've been trying is not working. And so when you start to think of it that way,
like the method of learning or the method of execution, depending on where you're at in your process, because some people will just start one step towards their their dream or their goal, and they fail and sit down and don't even try again. So it doesn't even matter where you're at, if you're just beginning, or maybe you've taken a few steps and maybe you've gotten hung up on not knowing a certain skill that pertains to what you're trying to go after. It's not that you failed at being this thing that you're trying to go after. It's that you just haven't learned that particular skill. You're not a failure. You just have to keep learning and keep trying new ways.
So here's the mindset shift. I want you to think about it this way, and just try this on. Don't believe it, experiment with it. That's the way to do this. Look at if you can fail 90% of the time. If you fail 90%, 9 times out of 10, which means you're going to fail a lot more than you're going to succeed, you're hitting a great number. So if I can fail that many times and know that 10th one, I'm probably going to get it, I'm in the game. What happens is most people fail once, a lot of people drop off. Some people stay on, they'll fail 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, and then huge drop-off numbers. But those people that just stick with it, they just
persistence
just that
is the key to
consistency.
success. You just have to keep going no matter how many times the door gets shut in your face, and not giving a care about what other people have to say if you hit a stumbling block or a learning lesson.
Yeah, when you have people start to criticize you, and when that really bothers you, what's happening is that you're giving away all your power, and now you're going to have no energy to pursue what you're actually trying to do. The reality is, who cares what other people think? Always just be striving for whatever it is that you want. And if someone comes up and they're like, why are you doing it that way? You just tell them, that's what I feel like doing right now. And they'll end that conversation like, well, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. But their opinion is not your life. You can't live for other people.
So true. Yeah, you have to live your life and do it on your own terms and not care what other people think, because they're only spectating for a brief moment of your entire lifespan, and you're with you the whole time. So you have the best perspective on your life and how to live it. Now, I want to ask you two very important questions when it comes to the topic of fear of failure. The first question I like to ask my clients, or when we work, coaching clients, I like to ask, what does failure mean to you? Like, how would you know if you failed? Like, because everyone's got this imaginary idea of what failure, like them failing, would look like. And so I need to figure out how crazy yours is. So ask yourself, like, what does failure mean to me? And the other question I like to ask is, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen if my fear came true? And you'll be surprised to find out that your creative imagination can do even more work than just make the fear. It can actually come up with creative ways and how to get past it, or see clearly that it's just a made up mental image that you're making in your mind. It's not actually happening.
Yeah, your imagination is so powerful. And if you want to start overcoming some of this stuff, just start doing mental rehearsal. It's really easy to do. All you do is picture things the way you want them to turn out. And a lot of us are perfect, super pros at imagining how stuff would suck. Imagine people laughing at us.
Yeah, that's called worry. You've been doing it for too long.
So you're already good at it. You're already good at using your imagination. If you start there and you say, damn, I do that a lot, you're in the right spot. You're a pro. Now
we're just going to change the picture.
Change how the imagination works. So you're going to start imagining good stuff now, and the way you want it to be.
Yeah, Jamie says, I used to really care what people thought. I would always think when I met people they didn't like me, and then I realized since I that I give a strong personality, that a lot of times people were just jealous. Now I don't give a fuck. I love that. It's true. Most people are in their own minds worried about what people are saying about them. Like, are they judging me? Are they judging me? They don't even have time to think about you. So the two of you happen to be in the same room together. Let's just talk, for example. And one person's in their mind going, oh my God, is she thinking about what I'm wearing? Is my hair okay? Am I saying the right thing? Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to say the right thing. And then the other person is doing the same thing. These two people, although they be in the same room together, they're not present, and you're not offering that connection and that intimacy that you're there for. So get out of your mind and maybe move back into the heart so you can connect.
Yeah, this is something that comes up a lot. So a lot of people ask, like, how can I be more in tune with my intuition? How can I know when I'm being guided to do something? How will I know when I'm being divinely inspired and stuff like this? And what's happening is that mental chatter that's going on, that stuff of what are other people going to say? How would they feel about me? Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? If that's all you're hearing all the time, that your own voice talking to you with a bunch of nonsense, then you can't be inspired because you won't be able to hear it. And so what you have to do is get your thoughts to slow down enough. And the easiest way to do that is to just focus on your breathing. Take long, slow, deep breaths. So the second anything comes like that, you start to fear something, you get in a panic state, slow, deep breaths immediately. And I'm talking about 4 to 8 second breaths. Make the exhale longer. That's the easiest way to do it. And what you'll notice is your heart rate will slow down. Your adrenaline will start to subside a little bit, your cortisol levels will go down, and you'll relax. And when you do that, the answers are already present. You just were talking so much to yourself you couldn't hear any of them.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest problem, is that you're just not opening yourself up. That's what we mean by, if you really want to get control, let go. And this is what that is. It's letting the mind and all that chatter subside just long enough so you can finally hear what you've really been trying to say to yourself the whole time. And you can tap into those like inner nudges that you get.
Damn. And that is it, man. That is the ticket. If you're wanting to know how to connect to your intuition, then quiet the mind. And Chris gave the perfect example, is just to focus on your breathing. It's the thing that's keeping you alive. It's consistent and it's always flowing, so that you can practice gaining awareness and focus and control of your mind, so it's not just always on ramble.
Yeah, and two, if you think that you're the only person that's failing, and if for some reason you've got that,
get
really,
over yourself.
Yeah, if you've got that really narcissistic attitude, like, I'm failing, everyone else is doing great, and you flip through the Instagram feed and it's like watching ESPN highlights for everybody's life, go pick up a biography. Go in the bookstore, go get biographies of the biggest names you've heard of.
Yeah, name any famous person in the comments below, and let's look up how many times they were told no, that they failed. I mean, Disney himself was like told no like over 300 times when he wanted to create Disney World.
Yeah, for his financing. He got rejected by banks 302 times because he lacked originality. So imagine that. Well, my 90%, he blew that out of the water. But it takes that many times because people aren't always going to get it, and you're not always going to succeed right off the bat. It's almost like the more times you fail in order to have something, once you have it, it is so solid. If you look at Tim Ferriss's publication stuff for his first book, The 4-Hour Workweek, I think he got turned down by like 36 publishers, and now it's a massive seller. You ask anybody about working, that's the book they suggest.
You know who really surprises me though? Vincent van Gogh. He only sold one painting in his lifetime. I mean, now his paintings are worth millions and millions of dollars. So think about that. But he still produced over 800 works of art. So even though he only sold it to one friend, he still kept doing what he loved because that's what he wanted to do. And there's something inside of you that you just want to do, that you love doing. Your soul just gets pulled into the moment finally, where your mind isn't talking or nagging you. What is that thing for you? Because that's what you're here to create and to produce into the world. But if you have that mental chatter going all the time, that fear of failure, fear of criticism, or fear of not being lovable, then you're going to be your biggest enemy, and you're going to self-sabotage yourself along your journey to that thing that makes you the most happy. It's like bipolar.
Yeah, and you know, if you really want to hit this home, you really want to think about this, I heard someone describe one time that hell would be when you die, you meet the version of you that you could have been. You meet the version of you that doesn't fear failure, that doesn't care about criticism, that goes after what they want. So imagine standing there with that person, because I know if that happens to me and I meet that person, they're gonna be like, damn man, I wish I could have done it like you. You know, you gotta be even bigger than them. Like, so stop giving into this. You know, what most people are doing is they're not failing often enough, and they're not failing big enough, and they're playing small, and you have one big decision to make, and that is like, am I going to be the victim or am I going to be the victor? Because the only difference is that the victor will continuously stand up when they get knocked down. So stand up and do what it is in your life that you want to do. Forget about what other people say about it and just pursue you. That's how you're going to give your gifts. If you watch the documentaries on like Einstein and stuff, he got turned down 1 million times. The dude couldn't even walk till he was 4. People thought he was mentally retarded. And look at him. He's like the best physicist we've ever had. And all these champions, you can hear it in every single story. All the Michael Jordans, all the athletes, all the major person who's ever done anything has just failed. And so if you want to do anything, you've got to fail too. So start getting comfortable with it. Go find things to constantly fail at. And then once you do that enough times, it's going to be so much easier because you're not going to care anymore. You know you're going to go in failing. You know the beginning part's going to be the hardest, and that's totally fine. Let it be hard. Be comfortable with it. You're going to learn. You're going to rise above, and people are going to be like, oh, they're going to be like, man, you're so lucky. Everything comes so easy to you. Look how wonderful your life is, and you'll laugh at it being just saying, I didn't care about failure. I just kept going. Just didn't let anything stop me.
Yeah, there's only reward in taking risks. So what risk can you go and take today? I'm not saying like jump off a cliff. That's crazy. There is such thing as danger, okay? But this fear that holds us back from shining our light and showing up as our full potential, that needs to stop today. So how can you change your story that says, no, I am enough, and this is what I'm going to go after? Jamie says, after I taught my first yoga class, I went and cried in a field. Then I got up and went back at it. Amazing. And sometimes we need that emotional release because there was probably a lot of energy being built up, you know, to help you perform that new experience, because your body sends you a lot of energy. Some people call it nerves. I call it excitement because it sounds better, and it makes me more empowered to use it in a way that allows me to serve at my highest potential instead of lowering me down and hiding in fear of like, oh, what if I mess up? Well, I probably will, so I'm just going to accept that now, and when I do, I'll have enough energy to be able to handle it with grace.
Yeah, and it makes approaching life in this way makes so many things so much easier. You're not getting bullied anymore by other people's thoughts because they're irrelevant. If whatever they're saying doesn't help move you forward, it doesn't matter. So just watch it. Just
let
like,
them go.
Yeah, let it go. Let it wash off like water off a duck's back, and just keep going. Here we are Friday. We should be celebrating. It's the end of the week. We're coming to the end of the month. So start to look back. What mental fears are you creating? Are you playing the victim anywhere? And how can you stand back up? How can you stand back up immediately and just continuously pull forward?
Yep. Fail more and fail bigger, and you will be a successful version of yourself because you'll learn, you'll grow, you'll expand, and you'll enjoy every single moment of it. I mean, I wouldn't want to live my life just sitting in my comfort zone. It's so familiar.
Mediocrity is definitely a sin.
Yeah.
So definitely pursue whatever it is that calls you, and you can change it. Just because you pursued something for a long time doesn't mean you can't swap. Just continuously do what you're enjoying.
Hopefully you do change what you are passionate about in the next 5 to 10 years, because that means that you've mastered it and you're ready to acquire new skills and explore new areas of...
you get new opportunities to fail again. That's the whole deal. Keep doing it until you're great at it, or until you're at a position where you're like, man, I've really got this handled. And then go after something new. After something new. That's the enjoyment of this world. It's almost...
You're not here to conquer it. You're just here to enjoy it and enjoy the experience.
Listen, if you're bored in your life, you need to find new stuff to do. And there's so much exciting stuff out there. So, get your ass up and figure out what it is for you. If you wake up in the morning, you're ho-hum, you're like, man, I'm not in it today. You got to find new cool stuff. Either new cool friends or a new place to be or something.
Yeah, you're doing the same lame shit. So pick something new, because there's an infinite amount of choices that will light you up. But you've got to try something new. Get outside your comfort zone, because that is where the magic happens.
Boom.
We'll see you next Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for the Elevated Life series. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who's here live. Jamie, Erica, Jessica.
Thank you, everybody.
So beautiful to see you all. Thank you for your thoughts, your ideas, your comments, and sharing your story. Because, when you have the courage to share your story and how you've overcome your fears that were made up in your own mind, then you empower other people to let their fears dissolve, because they realize that they've been doing it to themselves as well, and they can drop the mask, they can stop the game, and they can begin going forward from an empowered place.
Nice.
Bam. We'll see you guys next Friday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for the Elevated Life series. And we love hearing from you. So leave whatever topic or question you'd like us to answer live in the Elevated Life, and we will be sure to cover it. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.